This was not the first time Mitch Malone had faced death. He had seen it before, many times actually. He felt it pass by in the streets of Baranowo, Poland in 1942, when he was just 4 years old. It was there that death took his friends. It took his neighbors. And it took the soldiers fighting to defend them. It took them in ways so horrific, the memories were burned into his mind forever. And then, word came that in a gas chamber in Mauthausen, death had taken his father as well. When he was a younger man, his mother became ill. It was 1973, and the diagnosis was cancer. It wasn't treatable, and it wasn't quick. Death toyed with her, kept her alive for 2 years, but just barely. This memory never left him either. The tumor was the size of a football when they found it. Mitch was now in his 70s, kidney cancer, and it was terminal. But by now, Mitch knew death all too well, knew the storyline, knew what was in store for him, knew how it ended. He'd been witness to death too many times to believe any differently. So he went home that night, put a gun to his head, and pulled the trigger. Mitch believed there was no other way, that his story had already been written. But Mitch didn't die that night. Mitch didn't die 3 weeks later in the hospital under suicide watch, and Mitch didn't die 6 months later in an assisted living facility. No, Mitch Malone lived on. The ending of his story had been revised. The authors of this new ending? A group of amazing people who simply cared more about present relationships than ghosts of the past. In the new ending, Mitch lived for another 1.5 years at home. In the new ending, Mitch was surrounded daily by family and friends. In the new ending, Mitch experienced love, compassion, and comfort in ways he'd never known before. And as the last chapter closed on Mitch Malone's life, the darkness that was the death he once knew was nowhere to be found. It had been replaced by light and by peace. His story had been rewritten.